This is Charles Hain from colorcorrection.com, here to talk to you about preparing your project for color grading with colorcorrection.com. So you see in front of us a timeline with a whole bunch of clips. So this is the whole project that we're going to color grade with colorcorrection.com. Now, in order to take a project from Final Cut Pro and round trip it with the program Color that we use at C3, you need to complete a few simple steps. The first thing you'll notice is that we've got some titles. Now, titles don't make it into and out of color, so what we recommend you do is duplicate your project. So you've got a new sequence up here, and you're going to make your tweaks to your new sequence. So keep your title if you like, but then put 4C3 at the end of your sequence. So you still have your original sequence with nothing changed in it, but then you start making changes to your 4C3. And then in 4C3, we're going to delete your titles. Now you're going to get a sequence back from us when we're done color grading, and all you have to do is open up your original sequence, copy your titles, take them over to the new sequence, and paste them, and they'll line up perfectly where they're supposed to go. Alright, so I'm going to delete the titles. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to bounce everything down to a single track. You'll notice, as often happens, things are on a couple different video tracks, because that makes it easier when you're doing a video. But when you're color grading, you want everything on one track. So you highlight a clip, you hold down Shift, and you pull right down, and it'll bounce down to a single track. So now we've got everything down to a single track, but it's important to check. So go to Sequence, Delete Tracks, and delete all of your video tracks, and that will get rid of all of your video tracks for you. So from there, I've got everything on one video track. All I have left to do is check two things. First off, I want to double click the shots and check their filters. You'll notice this shot here has a dark blue cast to it that was added using the day for night filter. So I'm going to turn that off because that filter doesn't actually go into color. So your colorists will get to that shot and see in your notes that you want that to be a day for night shot, and they'll make it really dark, and then they'll send it back to Final Cut. Final Cut will reapply that filter to it if you don't turn it off right here, and then make it twice as dark as you want it to be. However, we've got this other shot here where you have the three-way color corrector on. The three-way color corrector three-way. Now that is the only filter that goes back and forth into color. So if you've used the three-way color correct filter, you can go ahead and leave it on. A lot of times editors like to leave the three-way color corrector to use it to sort of pre-grade while they're doing an edit to make sure things will be smooth. So go ahead and leave it on. In this case, we'll click it on and off. We can tell that the client wanted it even a little oranger, even a little contrastier, so that can be really helpful to leave on. The final thing you'll notice, if we zoom in on our track, we look at our shots and we notice that one of our shots has a little 25% after it, which is the indicator that it is slow-mo. So you put an in at the beginning of any slow-mo clip and a little out, and then you bake it out, which means we're going to create a brand new QuickTime file by going to File, Export QuickTime Movie, and we're going to create a bake of that, just that one shot. I always create a bakes folder, and I'm going to call this My Frog Slow. And it's going to bake that out into a brand new QuickTime movie. This is a very short clip, so it won't take any time at all. And I go to File, Import Files. I re-import that movie I just baked. I drag it to the timeline. It's exactly the right size. And now the shot plays with slow-mo, but if you look down the timeline, or if you look in the motion tab, it's playing full speed because the slow motion has been baked into it. So now we've got a great timeline for color grading. Everything's on one timeline. Everything has, the filters have all been checked. All of the slow motion's been baked in. And all of your titles are still saved in your original sequence. So you can copy those over at the end when you need. So now what we want to do is we want to media manage. This is a really important step. You're going to ship us your project on a hard drive, and we only need just the media you use in your sequence. It's very important you save all of your original media. Please never send any outside vendor, C3 or anyone else, your original copies of media. You want to make a copy of the media to send. So we're going to copy using the Media Manager tool, And if you see, our original media is 5 gigs, but all the media we use in the sequence is only 300 megabytes, so it's going to be much smaller. Now, we were working in ProRes HQ, so we don't need to recompress, but if you weren't working in ProRes, you can also select the recompress option and recompress it to Apple ProRes 422 HQ, which is the preferred working codec. However, we don't need to do that today, so we'll leave it on copy. You don't need to include master clips outside collection. You do want to delete unused media from duplicated items, and you want to duplicate selected items and place them in a brand new project. So we're going to tell it where to put it, and we're going to go to our external, Chuck Mini. We're going to create a new folder. We're going to call that folder C3, and that's how we know this is for C3. Then in that folder, we're going to choose it, and then we're going to click OK, and it's going to ask us where we want to save our project. And I'm going to put that in C3 as well, and we're going to call it My Frog Movie for C3. Now, as we watch, it's creating a new project file with new media clips on the external hard drive. Here we go, it's done. I can close my old one. And if you look in my new one, it's just the sequence for color grading and a folder with all the master clips. So if we hide Final Cut Pro and you look on our external hard drive, you look in the C3 folder, you've got a folder full of media with all the clips you need to edit and the Final Cut Pro sequence. And that's exactly what we'll send back to you after color grading. We prefer it if you label with an orange stripe the C3 folder so we know what we are looking for. What you'll receive back from us is we will send the sequence to color. And then I'm not going to color grade it now, but once we're done, we're going to send it back to Final Cut Pro, and you'll receive another sequence, My Frog Movie, from color that will be all color graded with the media relevant to your color grade on the hard drive. So if you want to get your titles back, you open your original project, open your original sequence, copy your titles, make sure you know where they start, and then you can go to From Color, go to the same place, paste them, and now your subtitles or your titles show up in the exact same place after color grading.